forgot to turn my mic on. If I can now get an approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay. Motion by trustee Garrison,
I'll second.
a second by trustee Candelaria Orr. Preferential is not present. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. Are there any public comments on closed session items? Okay, with no comments on, or no public comment on closed session items, we will now move into closed session at 4:31.
Jennifer Nix will be joining us on Zoom.
Good? Yeah. Okay, so we reconvened the open session at 5:32. There was no reportable action taken and closed. Future agenda items are on here. Master planning, Alexander Valley Healthcare, student concerns, and board policy for 5111, TK and K admissions. Our next future board meeting is right after this, May 17th. And can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll move to approve, to adjourn.
Okay, and this is being adjourned at 5:34, so we have a motion by trustee Mendoza Torres, a second
I second to adjourn our special meeting.
by trustee Garrison. Preferential is not here. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. That is fine.
So we're gonna go into our next meeting.
Yes. So are we ending that one and ending this for? Moving on to our regular meeting.
Can I go grab my packet on the back of my car?
No, hang on, let me just bring this meeting. So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:35.
Sorry.
All trustees are present. Is there any public comment on closed session for this meeting? No public comment on closed session. With that, we're moving back into closed session at 5:35 PM. Okay. Okay, so we will reconvene open session at 6:23 PM. And if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we will move to the approval of the agenda.
May we please table M3, which is the consideration and possible adoption of K-12 social studies curriculum and purchase of materials?
So approve the agenda with.
Oh, yeah, I approve the agenda with the tabling of M3.
So a motion by trustee Mendoza Torres.
J13.
And 3.
J13.
Oh, we'll pull it when we do the liaison, yeah. So we have a motion by trustee Mendoza Torres
I'll second.
and a second by trustee Candelaria Orr. Preferential? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. Okay. And moving on to public comment on consent and non-agenda items. At this time, the public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda item pursuant to the Brown Act. During this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. And with that, we will move into public comment. And the first public comment I have to be called upon is Kristen.
My name is Kristen Garcia, mother of Vincent Garcia, who is 15, currently in 8th grade, has been held back in Jefferson Elementary since 1st grade due to learning, and has had an IEP since kindergarten. He was actually able to move forward with the testing with Ann Gebb. I feel he was doing okay until he hit 6th grade, where we really noticed not all of his needs were being met. We revised the IEP, very minimal. Then because of COVID, somehow he slipped through the real testing he needed. Getting him ready for a different high school has other schools asking a ton of questions to why certain things have not been done. My son is currently expelled from Cloverdale District due to walking through campus with a fake pistol with the intentions of never hurting anyone that he purchased from Bolly's Liquor and proceeded to walk through the field. Vincent was never seen shooting, but still was expelled and now going through court and has to enroll in a school very far away in Santa Rosa. They never realized they were trespassing due to the signs located at the school of the entrance where they entered, and never had intentions of causing anyone, janitor or anyone else, harm. And my question is, why did the janitor wait until Monday if he was under the impression that the gun was real? Why did he wait until Monday to call and to address this situation? Sorry. And none of my son's other suspensions have made this any easier. For one, Lucas, one of the children that my son had he had multiple altercations with students and was seen on video rushing after my son, swinging at him, but yet Vincent was the one to be sent home for 3 days, not him. Teacher Warnett personally cussed at the whole class, admitted it to me, refused to modify Vincent's work, and then was upset because she was told she had to. Week later, would not let Vincent leave the classroom, which is in his IEP, then grabbed him by his jacket, and he again got sent home for 3 days. And due to the expulsion, Vincent has never received work on a normal time. I had to call over 15 different schools to get him into a school to where he would be accepted, and called back and begged Cloverdale for help after signing off on his expulsion papers. A certain group of boys have been voiced as gang members, which is so awful. All these teenage boys definitely come from multiple walks of life and regardless are still friends, which most have been friends since kindergarten or first grade. I feel the main group has been singled out based on the facts that other.
Kristen, your time is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna
That's 3
stop you.
minutes?
The 3 minutes is up.
Would you like to hand that over for us to
What you
read?
had, if you
You
want
wanna
to
read
give
it?
it to us. We can distribute it.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next name to be called upon is Jorge Guerrero.
Mi nombre es Eva Ruiz, soy la mamá de Jorge Guerrero. Simplemente estoy aquí para hacer los derechos de mi hijo, que no nomás se enfoquen en los problemas de los niños, sino que también vean que los maestros no están haciendo también su trabajo. Los tienen hostigados, los niños me da impotencia ver que a
Do we
los
wanna
niños
translate?
simplemente
She has a translator. She has
les
to
estén, simplemente a los niños y a los niños y a los niños y también los maestros no están haciendo su trabajo. También los agreden, también los tienen hostigados, es un grupito de niños, o no porque sean problemáticos, ya todo le estén enfocando a ellos, cualquier cosa de un año para acá es como terrible la escuela, es un temor para los niños. Los tienen estresados y ya basta. También los niños tienen derecho a que los escuchen, no nomás a los maestros, que se enfoquen en ellos de puros problemas y más por los mexicanos. No hacemos nada.
So we will have translation happen. Yeah, have her stand up and then you can say, or.
So my name is Eva Ruiz, and I am Jorge Guerrero's mom, and I'm here to attest to his rights. There's no focus, there's only focus on the kids when they have issues, when they have problems, but there's no focus on the teachers. They're not doing their job as well. It's always the kids, and problems after problem, but they should focus as well as what the teachers are doing wrong. They're not doing their jobs. From a year to now, they're scared, and it's been crazy at Washington, and they're scared, and it's enough. The kids also need to be heard, not just the teacher. It's problem after problem, and why are the Mexicans only getting triggered?
Thank you. The next name to be called upon is Marco Alcantar.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Martina Espinosa y estoy aquí en representación de mi hijo también. Es exactamente el mismo problema con mis compañeras. Mi hijo se siente discriminado totalmente. Ha habido un gran problema, tiene problemas físicos. He llevado notas del doctor 1 y 1000 veces y no me la hacen valer. ¿Por qué? Quiero una solución, ¿por qué? Siempre es lo mismo. Mi hijo hace unos días me comentó, no quiero ir más a la escuela, quiero mejor suicidarme. No se me hace justo. Mi hijo tiene problemas, no sé de qué manera decirlo, es ansioso, no está en un lugar fijo nada más. Todo eso le ha causado pérdida de clases, suspensiones. No hay día que no me estén hablando a mi casa para darme quejas de él. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Quisiera una respuesta.
Thank you, and we'll have Juana translate.
Okay, good evening. I'm here representing my son. My name is Martin Espinosa. And the same as my other colleagues, there's been a lot of discrimination. My son has physical problems, and I have brought in doctor's notes millions of times. Why are they never valid? It's always the same thing. The other day, my son made a comment, I don't want to go to school, I'd rather kill myself. It's not fair. My son has problems, I don't know how to say it, he's anxious. There's not one day goes by that I don't get a complaint regarding my son. What can I do? I want a response.
Thank you.
The next name to be called upon is Pablo Seda? Or Ceja? Okay, sorry, can't read that.
Hi, my name is Susana Ceguera. Yo voy a hablar sobre la discriminación que mi hijo ha sentido. Llegaba y me siento discriminado. Si un niño hace algo, lo hago yo todo el tiempo. Lo hizo él, tú fuiste todo el tiempo a apuntar una tabla. Hacia otro niño que era latino, era lo mismo. Le echaban la culpa al niño latino que porque él era. Dice, mamá, fue un güero, solo porque diga güero, para nosotros no es ofensa. Fue un güero, no fuimos nosotros, pero todo el tiempo, dice, somos nosotros, todo el tiempo. Él dejó de tener interés en la escuela, él dejó de querer ir a la escuela, todo el tiempo le duele la cabeza, todo el tiempo le duele el estómago, él quiere vomitar, él tiene mucho dolor ausencia. Yo dije, bueno, ¿a qué va la escuela? Si va a ir a batallar con los maestros, ¿por qué batallar con los maestros bastante? Incluso hay un problema con la maestra Guarnet, ahora está mejor. Pero hubo algo que me mandó un mensaje que Pablo la estaba acosando. Entonces, pues, yo dije, ok, si Pablo la está acosando, pues para mí es algo grave. Yo quise hablar con ella. Hablé por teléfono y dijeron que vamos a hacer una junta con ella. Y ese día de casualidad fui a la escuela y Daisy le llamó, que ahí estaba la mamá de Pablo, que quería una junta con ella. Yo escuché, nadie me dijo, yo no tengo nada que hablar con ella, ni ella tiene nada que hablar conmigo. Entonces, ¿para qué me mandan un mensaje diciendo que Pablo le hizo tal cosa o Pablo está haciendo tal cosa si ella no tiene nada que hablar conmigo? Pues ella tendría que hablar algo conmigo. Y él siempre se sintió discriminado, siempre. Pero ya cuando ella vio que estaba la presencia mía, de la mamá de Pablo ahí, entonces la maestra como que se empezó a calmar, porque yo le preguntaba, Pablo, ¿cómo te fue? Mejor. La maestra me está ayudando, mejor. Pero sí hubo bastante tiempo que ella estaba sobre Pablo, y no nada más ella, también había más maestros, no le pregunté el nombre de algo otro. Y también ha habido un problema desde mi hijo el mayor. Mi hijo ya va a salir high school con la maestra de matemáticas, pero no sé cómo se pronuncia, pero Ricky, algo así es la maestra. Él le tuvo terror a esta maestra, me decía, mami, es que no me quiere ayudar la maestra, no quiere ayudarme. Le digo, ok, yo voy a ir a hablar con ella, no vaya, porque ella nos...
Tiene su tiempo.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And Juana, when you're ready.
Oh, she's taking notes.
Yeah, so when she's ready, I know you have a lot to write down.
Hi, my name is Susana Ceguera, and I'm here to talk about my son and the discrimination he's faced and that he's felt. There's always problems, but it always seems that it's always Pablo, 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 or Latinos, even if it was a güero. And sorry, I don't mean that disrespectfully. He has no interest of going to school. His head is always hurting. His stomach is always hurting. He's vomiting. He has many absences because of this. There's always been struggles with the teachers. Things have gotten better with one teacher, Ms. Warnett. But there was a problem in the past where she said that Pablo was harassing her. They sent me a message saying that they wanted to meet with me and they wanted a meeting scheduled casually. One day I was at Washington and Daisy called her. Nobody told me, I heard this. Daisy called her and said that Pablo's mom was there in the office and that she was wanting to speak with her. And she said, I have nothing to speak with her and she has nothing to speak with me. She felt, the discrimination. The teacher calmed down when she saw my presence, when she saw that I was there for Pablo. But all the teachers have always been on Pablo. There's been more teachers, but I didn't get their names. I have had issues with my older son at CHS as well. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, Rigby. My son is terrified of that teacher. When I wanted to come and talk to that teacher, he would tell me, don't go, Mom, don't go. And that's when the time was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next name to be called upon is Angela Cordova.
Last month, I asked you for answers to the cease and desist letter that you sent to me illegally in September. Your new response is to send another lawyer after me, one who clearly has no clue what he was referencing by making false statements in his letter about using this for court for Betha. He even cites case law referring to an appellate case. This is not an appeal. Do you understand that this is not an appeal? This is why you have been named in the lawsuit now. You continue to make arrogant mistakes and have clueless, coward attorneys that have no idea what they're saying. You constantly attack me. I think I'm the only person in this entire community that gets an answer from a lawyer. The only person that has to deal with lawyers. Adina Flores has sent numerous PRA requests, but yet she doesn't have a lawyer attacking her, any lawyer attacking her. I do. What are you afraid of? I'm just a community member. I'm just a parent. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Preston, I'm constantly questioned and badgered when the recall will start again. I'm torn between starting the recall, which we had 1,814 people sign, regardless if some of them were undocumented immigrants or they weren't registered to vote. They still count as disliking you and your leadership. All of that, with the exception of a few undocumented immigrants, has since been corrected. So I know 100% the recall would be successful. But I think I get great pleasure from watching you sit in a powerless position, unable to dictate and control from your seat, like when Garrison was president, unable to intimidate or harass through attorneys like you could before. They aren't your personal attorneys. Hire one of your own. In fact, I challenge you to do that. Hire one of your own, but at least one with half a brain, unlike the school attorneys. Is your school going to continue to waste money sending half-assed lawyers after me? For what? For questioning you? What did I do other than question you and call you to the table? Nothing. Mendocino County was just sued by ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, sued Mendo County for failure to respond and failure to provide documents that they requested under PRA. Exactly what you do to me. Exactly. I am in discussion with them currently, and I will bring them to the table to get this resolved one way or another. You are not protected and you are not privileged. Remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other public comments, so we will move on to the closed session, reportable action taken. In closed session, we approved certificated classified and management 4 hours a day instructional assistant at Jefferson School effective May 9th, 2023. The governing board approved the following management staff for 22-23 employment agreement, an elementary school principal effective July 1, 2023. For public employment, discipline, dismissal, and release, there was a motion by trustee Garrison, a second by trustee Candelaria Orr to adopt resolution 223-11 to release temporary employees and authorize the district interim superintendent or his designee to notify the employees that he will be released effective June 12th, 2023. The governing board approved 1.0 FTE elementary teacher unpaid leave of absence for 23 and 24, and denied a 0.5 FTE science teacher for unpaid leave of absence 23, 24. Moving on to district spotlight.
Tonight we have Anna Ramirez, high school teacher, Cloverdale High School teacher, and Mac Butler, Washington PE teacher, and they're here to present tonight on a conference I attended recently. Welcome.
Thank you. I just came from my track party, so hope that's okay. I'm not dressed up. Yeah, so we went to a conference in March in Santa Clara, and it was the CAPERD conference, which without my slide I have to remember, California Association of Health, Physical Education, Dance and Recreation, swap the recreation and dance. And it was awesome, and we were really excited that you guys sent us. I'm gonna look at this. I'm tap dancing. Yep, there I am, tap dancing. Oh, okay, cool.
You gotta turn it on.
Is it?
All right. I don't know. Let's see if it works. No. Oh, it did work? Okay. So, I mean, why did we want to go? The first thing is in a small district, we don't have a lot of people to talk to. I'm the only PE teacher at Cloverdale High School, and we've got one middle school PE teacher with a little bit of extra, and then an elementary 5-6 PE teacher. So just being able to talk and get out there and reach out to our bigger community of PE teachers is awesome. Finding out what's new, learning about the latest curriculum, equipment, games, and all of these exciting things that if you would think about what a PE teacher conference looks like, it probably did look like that. A lot of game playing. Helping to avoid burnout. We know that it's been really tough teaching these days, and just being able to talk to others and see the struggles that they're dealing with in the classrooms and how we're all getting through this together. One main thing for me is heart rate monitors, and you'll hear a lot about that from me, and we'll talk about that more. So my big takeaways, at my last school, we had heart rate monitors, and I've been looking, and they weren't utilized well because they were the ones that went around the chest, and kids had to get them wet and put them on under their clothes in the locker room, and it was just really awkward. So I've been looking for a new, cool way to do this, and these are gonna be wrists. They've already been ordered. We're getting them for next year. Kids will know their heart rate during PE, which brings me to the next one, which is MVPA. It's moderate to vigorous physical activity. So getting ideas about how to keep kids moving, especially for the block scheduling, and trying to move away from some of these slow-moving games and actually using the time to get their heart rates up. Another big takeaway for me is wanting to implement our swimming unit and going to a swimming session where we talked about safety and using fitness in the pool. I'm not going there to run laps or create a swim team, but just really to get kids comfortable in the water who don't know how to swim, especially. And then maybe even a little synchronized swimming final exam. That would be fun, right, Seth? And then Social emotional learning really goes hand in hand with PE and, teamwork, collaboration, giving them a safe place. PE is not everybody's favorite subject, and there are people that actually, fear going in there and having to be the one that it's their turn to kick the ball or whatever it is. So really being able to make that connection between how we can help kids social emotionally in the PE classroom was a really awesome takeaway. And then just one more for me. So that's what the heart rate monitors are going to look like. They are yellow. They're blue when you're not moving enough. They're yellow when you're right in the good zone, and then they're red if it gets really high. And I can see them from across the room. We got to go to a session. We did that session together where they put them on us, and we were sweating at the end. And it was awesome, and it was fun. As soon as the class is over, they scan it to my computer and click it back into the charger, and they automatically, them and their parents, can get emailed what their heart rate was during the class session that day. And so maybe for parents that do check that, it could be a talking point of like, what did you do today in PE to make your heart rate go up so high, or why is it a little low today? So, all right, go ahead.
Is it the band? Could I just ask you, the whole band changes colors?
No,
That yellow part?
those yellow, yeah, there's just a light that,
Oh,
right,
okay.
yeah, the light changes on the sides. Thanks, sir.
So, I'll just reemphasize, thank you very much everyone involved, Nicole Odell and Dr. Goyle and the DO staff and CUS board that send us. It's really re-energizing to get around 500 PE teachers that are all doing the same thing. So it's great for physical health as well as mental health. My top takeaways is PE has changed over the years, so the term physical literacy, it goes beyond sports, beyond fitness. Okay, we're developing sportsmanship, confidence, vocabulary, which includes reading and writing, and whole child learning. So a little biased, but I think it's the most important subject. It's the only subject where I can develop a student physically, emotionally, socially, cognitively, and so it's super important. I went to a disc golf session, which I was able to get funding through the extended learning opportunities to bring in 5 of the permanent disc golf baskets at Washington. So the plan is to start a Washington Middle School Disc Golf Club, and it's a great sport. It's one of the fastest growing sports, maybe beyond pickleball. It's low cost. A Frisbee costs about $12. It's low intensity, so you can do it on those 100-degree days. And they advertise it as all ages, from 6 to 96. People can play disc golf. The keynote speaker was Alicia Anderson. Her title was Disabling Ableism. So she talked about being on a mission to motivate and invoke change through the power of diversity, equality, equity, and inclusion. So she is a twin. She was in a wheelchair. She competes at Paralympic level tennis. She has a very inspirational story, and it was, I went into it not knowing if it would really affect me, and it did. It was a great speech. She's done TED Talks, and it was amazing. And then the last takeaway was all these new sports and games that I've never heard of, never played, never seen. One of them is adaptation of Foursquare, but it's up in the air, so it involves volleyball. It's called 9 Square in the Air, as well as Gaga Pit. We have the equipment for Gaga Pit. It was funded through a CARE grant right when we went to however many month spring break, COVID. So we still have that, it's just a little bit delayed. So there's just some visuals. That was a visual that Alicia Anderson used. That's a Gaga Pit in the top right. It's a very anti-social distancing game. You put a lot of people in close, and it's a variation of dodgeball, and then that's the 9 Square in the Air on the bottom, and then that's disc golf with our new Washington School Disc Golf Club logo. Think positive, score negative. That's our mantra. And then this is just something that the CDC came out with as the ultimate goal. So that's the child in the middle, healthy, safe, engaged, supported, challenged. And then it goes to the school level is kind of in the blue, which includes employee wellness, health services, physical education, and physical activity is just one piece of that pie. And then beyond that is the community. And then I don't know if we can click on it from here. Oh, it's okay. Did you want to talk a little bit about this?
I mean, so I think it's pretty obvious that the things that we learned are there's a lot of impact on students with the heart rate monitors, empowering them to self-assess what they're doing in class, not just hearing it from me. The moderate to vigorous physical activity, just I think the more active and engaged you keep the kids in class, obviously the fewer behavior problems you are likely to have. The focus on social emotional learning, healthy body, healthy mind. If you go to these PDs and these conferences and you get an updated program and an updated vibe, it just equals more fun for your students and for yourself. And then just investing in teachers is a direct investment in our students. And so we hope to go again in the future. And every other year it's in Santa Clara. We drove right over there and we really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Demonstrating.
I don't know if it's gonna work, but it shows
There was a
us.
video of us demonstrating our heart rate
Our heart rate
monitors.
monitors. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
She was in the red.
While that's loading, hey, Matt, can I ask, did the disc golf, are they starting to get put in already?
I'm going there right now.
Is that what the hole by the northwest backstop is?
Concrete is poured, yeah.
Awesome, okay.
The baskets.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so we will move on to the consent calendar. I know I'm going to pull J1 and J13, or is there anything else that needs to be pulled? Nope, okay, so with that, can we get a motion for J2 through J12, J14 through 16?
I move to approve under consent calendar J2 through J12, J14 through J16.
We have a motion by trustee Garrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Addison. Preferential? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. So I put an A instead of. Okay, so J1, I just wanted to pull this because, just to clarify that on the minutes, there was a typo when it originally came out for the time, saying that the meeting on May 3rd was called to order at 8 a.m. That has since been rectified, so it is being approved with the correct time. We did not start a meeting at 8 a.m. And that's all I had on that. So with that, do I have a motion to approve J1?
Move to approve J1.
Okay. Motion by trustee Addison,
I'll second.
a second by trustee Mendoza Torres. All in favor, or sorry, preferential? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And no one is absent. And moving on to J13, we pulled this, so our, I'll let you go.
Luis Camacho, our Director of IT, is here tonight to speak about website provider, because we were recently informed that School Loop, our current provider, will no longer provide to schools. So Luis, it's all yours.
Like Steve was saying, so we were notified that we have until June 30th to find a new website provider. We requested proposals. We received 4 proposals. The one I'm recommending tonight is the Elio proposal. The reason why is because our current provider partnered with them, so we got better pricing from them. They seem to have everything that we need. I know Jim has experience with them. He mentioned that their system, it is easier to manage than the one that we currently have, which is something that we were looking for. Their designs are well made, so I think we can use a few of their designs from their available designs that we can choose from. There's a few districts around the county that are currently using them. Sebastopol Union Schools are using them. Westside Union School District is also using them. And then Ukiah Unified School District are using them as well. So I'm not sure if you have a copy of them, but is there any questions that you may have?
How is the cost of it, how is that comparable to what we were previously paying?
Well, we were paying was very low, which explains why they're going out of business. We were paying 1,500. They're charging us 2,800 plus a one-time setup fee of 1,500. Before they became partners with our current provider, their quote was at 3,500 each renewal. So they went down to 2,800. And I'm not sure if they're gonna keep their pricing for us, but that's something I can confirm.
But essentially, in future years, we would just pay the renewal fee. We wouldn't pay
Not the setup.
The 2,800.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I can also check and see if we can do a multi-year, so to lock this price.
Is there any other questions? Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, can I get a motion to approve the selection of website provider and corresponding contract?
Move to approve J13.
Okay, motion by trustee Addison,
I'll second.
a second by trustee Candelaria Orr. Preferential? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. Thank you. And we will move on to reports. So we have the student board representative.
So we got a few more things going on in Cloverdale. I don't really know what's going on at the other schools because I'm not there. We got plays going on the 1st of June, the 2nd of June. I think we're deciding whether or not to do it the 3rd of June. They should be on a weekend. The play we're doing is called The Good Doctor by, I forgot who it's by. I play a role in it, so it'd be pretty fun for you guys to show up. And I believe we donate all the money that we get to the CARE Foundation because they help us out a lot with licensing and things like that. So if you guys want to come up, support us, I think the recommended donation is $5, and it'll be fun. I think it's a great play. Our senior ditch day got rescheduled because the baseball team won. Thought it would just be funny to mention it to you guys. And other than that, I think we have graduation, and that's about it. Portfolio presentations tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in your designated classrooms, which I'm not sure have been assigned yet. Other than that, that's about it.
Can I ask a question to our student board representative?
Sure.
I noticed that you're wearing a shirt. Would you
Oh,
like
yeah.
to?
I'm going to Cal Poly Pomona.
Job set.
It was one of the only colleges that got back to me, so I was very happy about that.
That's a good one.
I learned not to apply for aerospace engineering because that is very, very difficult to get into. But yeah, I'll be heading there in the fall. It'll be pretty awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and so the next report is CSEA, but they don't have a report tonight, so then we will move on to the Teachers Association of Cloverdale.
Thank you, and good evening. We really need to get some-
I wrote notes saying we need to figure out the shades situation.
I saw Jim with his sunglasses over there.
Okay, good evening. I would like to thank the board for continuing to be available to teachers at our site coffee chats. Please know that the opportunity to have open conversations with all of you is important to our staff. And again, let's not be discouraged by the low attendance. It's been really busy of late, but we would like to continue the practice for sure. May is an extremely busy month, and staff and students are working hard to finish the year on a strong and positive note. We hope to see you all at the upcoming open house at Washington tomorrow, open house at Jefferson on May 25th, and portfolio night at the high school also tomorrow night. Yesterday, Mr. Dobbins and Bonnie Holm sent out an email announcing the Scott Holm Portrait of a Graduate Award. The annual scholarship fund will be administered by TAC, and we look forward to helping support this award in honor of Scott's memory. We hope that you will consider making a contribution. Lastly, staff would like to thank Ashley Lopez-White and the rest of the board for the gift of succulents we received during Teacher Appreciation Week. In addition, we'd like to thank or recognize our parent-teacher clubs at Jefferson and Washington and the administrators at CHS for recognizing the educators and with all the amazing treats over the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, we will move on to individual board member committee reports. Whoever wants to start can go.
Well, I went to Measure H. One of the things that's on our horizon is TK. And, we're going to be needing to house a whole nother cohort because it's the youngest cohort. It's probably going to be large. And you had some presentations about putting ourselves in place for funding for that. And we had an update on that. And it looks like we're in a good position to get funding. It's never going to be as fast as it should be. They always say, bring the kids and then we'll build something for them, rather than the other way around, unfortunately. But I think the whole team has done, our consultants have done a good job in trying to capture as much money as possible. And it looks like over the next 3 to 5 years, we should be able to get 10+ million for facilities, which might actually be enough to build what we'll need for those. And then we had a coffee chat at the high school. Seems like we were kind of double booked, but we did see some people, and we're happy for that. We won't let the low attendance affect us at all. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sure I will have forgotten something, but I too attended coffee chat at the high school yesterday, as well as one at Washington Middle School with Trustee Mendoza Doris. We got a special tour from one of the teachers there, as well as when we did the Jefferson one with Trustee Lopez White. The concerns about facilities, I did bring those back to the Measure H committee, and so it explained it to me, and I just need to pass that along to those staff members. Also, at Measure H, one of the big things that we also determined was we need to start planning now so that we have, when we are approved for the money, we're ready to spend it and ready to hit the ground running. Again, tomorrow's portfolio night, I will be attending as a parent as well as a evaluator, so I'm excited about that. So it will be sad to miss Washington's open house. The girls and boys are both in softball championship playoffs. They both play on Friday. Girls are home at 5. Boys are in San Francisco at 5. So congratulations to them. And that's all I can think of right now. Oh, prom was a success, I heard
nice.
too.
Yeah.
So yes, I got to help set up for that. So thank you.
Okay, sorry, my voice is going because it's the end of the year and this is what happens to me. So I can speak to an ELAC event actually a couple of weeks ago that I attended, and it was fantastic. Took my daughter actually and my husband and lots of different booths and information, which was really helpful. Lovely looking treats and lots of coloring for the kids and whatnot. Got a decent attendance, which is more than what I've seen in the last couple of meetings that I've attended. So that was super great to see. LCAP, I'm trying to remember when things happen because again, towards the end of the year, everything mushes together a bit. But looking at feedback, reviewing, the different LCAP goals, different strategies, things like that. So that was incredibly informative. So, and I'm looking forward to the open house tomorrow night. I'm going to be there a little bit later because I have my daughter's TK open house down in Santa Rosa, but I'll be there.
Thank you.
So this time around, went around to the coffee chat at Washington Middle School, where 24 employees showed up. It was well attended. We got to hear questions, concerns. We also got a tour of the gym and the outdoor space, so that was cool. Attended LCAP through Zoom along with Trustee Candelaria Orr. Once again, this is mid-year for LCAP, so we're looking and reviewing and adjusting what the goals are and how the money is being spent. Also attended CARE Foundation yesterday about just reviewing our treasury report. Also looking at funding requests and also fundraising events. So if, yeah, that are to come. So if you have any extra money, donate to CARE. Or if you are looking to be a member or a board member, CARE Foundation is open. Also attended ELAC along with Candelaria Orr. It was a great event and a different layout where we had different vendors and community members there simply to just provide resources and get people connected to broaden their resources at school. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. For me, we have not had a school and city subcommittee meeting. We actually had to, I guess, technically cancel our last one. Myself and Mayor Lands are both on the committee, and we both coach JV softball, and we had a game. I will just reiterate what Trustee Garrison said. Congratulations to both varsity girls and or softball and baseball. In addition, there's no playoffs for JV, but our JV girls took first in league and almost had an undefeated season. So super proud of all of the athletes that we have. They've definitely made it a very entertaining season. And just, this is sports related, but also school related. I got to attend a college softball game. The Ducks came down and played Cal Berkeley, and Coach Margaret Fitzgerald got a bunch of tickets that were given to all of our young athletes. And we had our youngest athletes that are like in our ponytail division all the way up to our varsity players go, and I think all of them really liked that. So thank you to Margaret for doing that and getting that for everyone. I will be at open house tomorrow. Kind of bummed that portfolio night and open house ended up on the same night, but I'll make it to portfolio night one of these years. So open house tomorrow, and then I believe our next school city subcommittee meeting isn't until June unless we schedule another one in between, but I haven't seen a date yet.
We have.
Oh, we do have a date, right? No, it kind of went back and
haven't got a
forth.
date yet,
So
but-
we don't have one, but if we don't find one, the next one will be June 19th. That is all. Moving on to superintendent.
Thanks for dropping the ball on Washington Open House is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So we'll see all of you there, I'm sure. Thanks for coming. I want to say I met with Brad Horrell, who is kind of in charge of watching over the tennis courts here. He has the combination to get in if you want to get in. And he informed me that they are dissolving their 501c3. And so the joint use agreement with the city and us will be revisited. Keep that on the front burner. I'll mention that to Glenn as he comes in. He said they were about 2 years away from having to resurface the tennis courts, in his opinion, just to give you a heads up on that. And he also made a request to restripe 2 of the courts for pickleball, which, as Max said, is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing sport around. And I will ask Anna if she has that need for PE units also. Seth, good luck in college. We were told you weren't going to be here tonight, so that new car that we were going to give you just isn't here today. But we do have a small parting gift for you. But good luck in my 4 meetings here. You've done an outstanding job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Promotion ceremony for Washington School is June 8th, Thursday, June 8th, and the high school is June 9th. Both of them start at 6 o'clock. We have board meetings, 2 of them in June 12th and June 14th. So one of them will review the LCAP, the second one will ask for approval of that, and the budget also. We have a reclassification meeting next Tuesday for our English learners. We're excited about that because we have a higher number this time, and Washington has 30 of them, so we're pretty happy about that, and still counting, I think. Unfortunately, at the same time as the FFA banquet on Tuesday night, so we do have a double booking. Hopefully you can make one of those. And Jim Evans, our principal at Jefferson, and Dr. Ronnie Goyle, good luck in your new adventures, our principal at Cloverdale High School, as you go forward after the school year's out. I'm not sure if this is your last meeting to attend, but I want to make sure I mention that. Michelle Holden is here, the next principal at Jefferson School. Thanks, Michelle. And Stephanie Alexander is retiring in June, so welcome to probably your last meeting, I think it is. So thanks for all you've done. She is in charge of student services and special education, not an easy task, so thank you. And let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
That's my report tonight.
Thank you. So we will move on to the Measure H update, and
Oh, gosh.
back to you, Steve.
Oh, gosh. Yes, let me find the right page for that. What number?
L1.
So I'm glad Preston gave a little brief preview of that, and Jackie, because I expected that Kevin was going to be here tonight. We did talk about this list last meeting, and it's a repeat of what's been accomplished, but it also gives an update. The Washington Elementary School new shade structure is on hold because we're reviewing possible relocations for that. And as I tap dance myself, the bus turnout is still in progress. The latest is we're looking for a deed with Fidelity that hasn't gotten back to us yet, and we continue to call. In fact, I've called this week and still have not got back, so the next is to drive down there and walk in, as suggested. Jefferson Elementary has classrooms being painted, and the good news was when it was tested, there was no asbestos. So that was good. We will be replacing the doors to bring them up to code and what we need to do because they are beyond worn. And Southfield is still in progress as we look at what we're doing with the grading. One decision that was made, instead of trying to work around and grade a drainage area in the middle of two fields, we're looking at moving it to the left side. And Preston, if you want to add anything to that, because I know you and Jackie were at the meetings for that, so.
Yeah, we looked at what we need to do to make the site usable, because Fish and Game has a lot of oversight over the seasonal watershed that goes through there. And to keep it right down the middle, the only way to cross the site would be a very, very expensive bridge. So we're looking at rerouting that seasonal watershed around the boundary of the site. And then it actually gives us a lot more usable space. So that's still moving forward with planning, trying to get that finalized. But a lot of government organizations to deal with to get approvals.
Thank you. Anything else on Measure H?
No.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so we will move on to L2, the federal program monitoring update.
Good evening, everybody. I was scheduled to give this report last time, but I had an ill child at home. But it was actually, I think, a better placement for today because we completed the whole process. So we'll be able to take you through the beginning all the way to the end. So first I wanted to start with a brief review. We've talked about FPM quite a bit this year. The process is required by the federal government. Generally, we should expect a visit every 5 to 6 years. Smaller districts have a smaller chance of being pulled every 5 to 6 years because our risk is much lower. Where, like, say, you're LA Unified, Oakland, you're going to get pulled every 5 to 6 years or sooner. So our last visit was way back in 2012, so it's been quite a while. The areas that we were reviewed in was compensatory education, otherwise known as CE, English learners, EL, homeless foster education, HE, and student support and academic enrichment, SSAE. If there's any findings, you have 45 days to resolve from the report date. So our first area was CE, compensatory education. What this review looks at is our Title I funds, how we use it, how we get feedback from the school site councils and ELAC on the use of those funds. The great news is we had no findings in this area. They were very happy with what they saw. Having said that, in each of these areas, we were kind of given some words of caution from the reviewers of, hey, you were fine this review, but make sure this doesn't happen again, or, you know, this was a little gray area that you were in. So what we had was the SIPSA, the Single Plan for Student Achievement. Funds can't be spent until the board approves it. So we know that we recently come back to doing the SIPSAs, and because of coming back to it, where we've been approving is really late in the year. We approved them in January. So theoretically, not theoretically, but actually, we shouldn't have been spending any funds until they were approved. So you'll see in June that we are bringing next year's SIPSAs from all the sites to the June meeting so that when July 1 hits, all our new principals can start spending. Now, they can take those SIPSAs back to their school site councils and their ELACs if there's a need for change. So for example, Steve and I have been working on Washington's, and we tried to give some general areas so that it gives Shauna, when she comes in, some room to spend, but also room to move things around and come back to her group and get some approvals for changes. So our new SIPSAs will be on the new timeline that we should be having. Positions that are funded by Title I at the site need to be reflected in the current SIPSAs. They weren't in the ones you approved in January, but because we started a working copy and put those funds and identified them in the SIPSA for next year, they did not do a finding on us. Basically, what we found out is, even though as a district we were allocating those Title I funds, it still has to be approved at the site because Jefferson, for example, is an all site for Title I. Some suggestions they gave us is if we're having difficulty with our school site councils, that the category for parents can also be community members. So they can be alumni parents. They can be someone from Care Foundation that's interested. It doesn't have to be a parent. So when we struggle, we can broaden our loop a little bit and reach out to the community, which was a great thought. I hadn't ever really thought about that. We were lucky we were able to get the right parents, but we were living in some gray areas, as school site councils often do. And if we pull a teacher that's funded by Title I or any other or a classified position, we need to make sure that we're charging another account if they're subbing because they're not doing their Title I duties. So we are just making a note of that so that we can charge that correctly. So no findings for the first area. Our second area, English learners. This reviews all of our Title III funds, how we use those funds, our DLAC, our ELACs, reclassification, LPAC testing, our CUME folders. They physically go through CUME folders, and we did have one finding in this area. What happened here was, in our CUME folders, we have to have certain documentation of every test that student ever took in LPAC, the letters that went out, date stamped, all the documentation for reclassification, and when she went back for several years, those documentations were missing. So this is a finding because of years of missing files. So it's something that we have already been working on, and Leslie has been working with me, our ELD coordinator, on getting those things in place this year already, but that was a finding. So what we had to do was we had to work on cleaning it up, and so we did have one finding, and our resolution was one, to train everybody that touches the CUME folders on what goes in them, and the date stamping was new for everybody. It's not just a copy of the letter, but a physical date stamp that you sent it out. And two, we did a training on all admin, ELD coordinators, support staff, since all of our admin are leaving. We also trained our secretaries and any support staff at the sites on how to do reclassification and meetings in elevation, because that's where our documentation is happening. So we completed that on the 3rd and the 10th, and we submitted the evidence. On May 12th, we were given the notice that it was resolved, so we are clear of this finding. A couple words of caution from our reviewer is that some of the feedback from our parents was they didn't feel very well informed about testing. even though we send the letters, so we need to work on our communication. The ELD in classes, so Jefferson was our site that they visited. It wasn't uniform, and it wasn't happening in all classes during the identified ELD time. But because they did see it some, and that some people were using our adopted wonders, they didn't do a finding, but it was a word of caution that it needs to be in every classroom. And it needs to be with the adopted curriculum, and that's approved by the state. And any changes going forward has to be district-wide. So because they only pulled Jefferson, they said, hey, you can't just change it at Jefferson. You need to make sure it's uniform throughout the district. It's just that we sample from Jefferson. So that is built into our planning going forward, making sure that we keep those words of caution in mind. Our third area was homeless education. So this looks at our homeless children and youth. This includes our website, how we identify students, how we provide services to students, how we document that, how we train our staff. We had 0 findings in this area, and I have to say thank you to Stephanie and Danae, and Luis as well. They all worked together to get us up to snuff for homeless education. We were missing a lot of pieces, but this was really great because we got everything we needed in place, and we've been helping many students. So our caution from our reviewer was that the reason we got picked for homeless education was because we're only identified as having 0.5% of our students as homeless and 0.3% as foster. And they said that's why we were chosen, because that's way too small. They know that the national average is much, much higher, so we were pulled because of that. So we need to work on identifying students better. And they said that our students were put in place during this year, and it allowed us to get glowing reports, but we need to make sure we continue and build our program. So we have new paperwork in place, new tracking, new training of staff, and we've already helped several students and families get dental help, eyeglass help, connecting them with resources in the community to make sure that they can get therapy that they're looking for or mental assistance. So this has really helped us get on board and getting where we need to be.
Can I ask one question while you go?
Mhm.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, go
For that percentage being too small, is it because like the clerical error or what? I mean, if that's truly the only students,
so
how do you, I'm just wondering how you.
It's a common problem, and what happens is people are often embarrassed to check the
Okay.
box that they're doubled up.
Okay, that makes
Or that they're
sense.
living in their car, or they don't want to be identified that way. So we often see, I don't want to say lie, but just leave it blank or whatever. So some of it is us making sure that it's filled out and making sure they're comfortable
Okay.
filling that out and notifying them of what we could provide. We work
Okay.
really closely with one family, and they weren't aware that, hey, there's students doing a sport. We could have paid for sports equipment that they went out and bought out of their own
Right.
money, and they didn't eat for the night. You know, we were able to get some dental and eye vision help for students that didn't know. So it's us also being better communicators.
Right.
And we worked through with our staff, making sure that they could look for signs.
Okay.
So statements that are said when they enroll, et cetera, that we could ask deeper questions.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
What's the expected percentage?
Do you remember exactly what she said? She said it should at least be around 5%, I want to say.
I mean, do they go off of like the census that, or like the, so to speak, like the city does the homeless count or the unsheltered people, they do a count yearly? Do you think that correlates with?
I'm not exactly
Okay,
sure on how they get that number. They know that even the number they have is probably too low just because most people don't want to be identified.
Yeah.
But for our county, they said we were really low.
Okay.
They would expect 5%, 3% at least, not 0.5. So our decimal is in the wrong spot, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Our final area is student support and academic enrichment. This is how we use our Title IV funds, how we assess the need for those uses, and whether or not we do the LCAP federal addendum. We had 0 findings in this area, and in fact, because we were ahead of schedule, they actually didn't even come to the site for the on-site review. They cleared us in the program ahead of time. So They cleared as fall areas. They did give some guidance to myself and to Patty Mills, our CBO, on the use of Title I funds and how to use them. They also wanted us to know that we had to make sure that we documented that they talked about it at our school site councils and ELACs with other funds, and to call it out on the agendas and to specifically get feedback and document, even if there's no feedback, say no feedback was given. They want that documentation. And that we need to track any updates or feedback on the LCAP federal addendums. We're currently spending these funds on supplemental software. The big clarification that we were asking about was, because you can supplement, but you can't supplant, all right, with other monies, is if we bought it 1 year when it was supplemental, but we want to continue it, can we use these funds? She said, as long as you initially bought something with it, you can continue to buy it with these funds, but you can't say, oh, we bought this software or these books last year with something else, and now we were going to use these funds. That's supplanting. So we got some clarification, which was really helpful for both myself and Patty. So we had one finding total. It is resolved as of May 12th, and we can close our federal program monitoring.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or conversation? Or discussion, I should say. Okay, with that, we will move on, where are we at? To L4, the discussion and naming, sorry, L3, sorry, I jumped right here, okay, thank you. Discussion, esports presentation, sorry, I didn't want to skip you.
Luis Camacho is back to talk about our esports.
Hi, so just a quick update. We're beginning a esports after-school group, and we did a survey. We currently have 11 students interested in it. We're planning on starting it with some basic computer skills. So we're planning on buying some gaming computers, having our students build them. At the same time, we're going to be using some gaming consoles. So we are planning on dividing the time that we meet kind of half and half been learning, the other half being playing video games. So I'll begin with what are esports. So it's short for electronic sports. Basically, it's a competitive online multiplayer gaming. It can be played as a team or individually. So there's games where you form a team of 3, 6 people, or it can be just a single player. Why esports? Well, esports is basically same thing as any other sports, minus the physical interaction. Students learn how to work as a team. They gotta work on communication skills. They also form strategies on playing the games. They also are exposed into the sportsmanship skills. A lot of colleges and universities are now also forming their esports teams, so they are also offering scholarships. So this is another opportunity for them to be exposed into some form of scholarship when enrolling into a college. So again, some other skills that they gain are problem solving, performance skills, and confidence building. So we're planning on joining the CIF. They created their own esports league. Well, they joined NASEF for their sports league, but they have their own tournament. Some of the video games that they're claiming and that we can play is Rocket League, which is basically playing soccer with cars. League of Legends does more of a quest game, so you gotta complete quests as a group. And then Super Smash Bros. Does a fighting game where you play 1 versus 1. Is there any questions?
Has there been any thoughts about, because I know that our current, or our local theater has had like a Smash Brother tournament in their movie theater, and has there been any ideas or thinking about how to collaborate, or I'm not sure
So they kind of began doing this when we were exploring the idea and also moving forward with it. I did speak to the organizer, and he is willing to also help us out and also organize something together once we get this up and running. I've also spoke to the Windsor coach for the esports in Santa Rosa Prep, and they're also willing to hold some scrimmages and maybe hold some bigger events.
I was just gonna say it'd be interesting if they wore the wristbands while they're playing to see if their heart rates increased.
Yeah, so another thing is that since we're joining the CIF tournament, we do gotta follow all the sports requirements. So basic, the 2.0 GPA is required to participate, and they also get a physical done. So they gotta go through all the registration through our AD, so it's not just open to everyone.
But then I don't know if you want to touch on, because what you told Steve and I earlier is that you're going by CIF, and therefore the games aren't going to be shooting games or anything like that, right? Like it's going to.
Correct.
The
So
idea is.
Yeah, we're only joining the CIF approved games. There are other leagues out there, but we're staying away from them because of the violence and first shooting games that they also offer. So we're trying to just keep it basic, simple, and we'll see where CIF wants to take this.
And this is just 9th through 12th grade. Is it because it's just starting out, or do they have 7th, 8th grade?
Some schools do have 7th, 8th grade, but because we're just starting, we're just keeping it at the high school. In the future, if others are interested, I'm pretty sure we can expand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks, Luis.
And so with that, we'll move on to L4, discussion of naming and dedicating, the dedication of the John Allen Memorial Field announcers booth after Don Goodman. And I will.
So this is an informational item right now, and we'll seek direction from the board after this. But Don Goodman, as you all know, passed away recently at the age of 83, and he was known as the voice of Cloverdale. And if you read an article in the Press Democrat today, Carrie Benefield did a great job of capturing Don. A lot of great information, a lot of good memories and comments from our coaches that have worked with him. But I received an email, and I think the board may have also, from John Pearson, who's a graduate of Cloverdale, 1980, I believe he said. And I thought I'd read the one paragraph that stood out to me when I started reading it. Donald Goodman was a person who spent his whole life giving back to our community and never asking for anything in return. A true believer that never asks what your community can do for you, but what could you do for the community, Cloverdale community. And that kind of summarizes Don. I had the good pleasure of getting to know him twice on 2 occasions. One as a visiting coach when he was the announcer, and he would walk up and want to make sure he pronounced the names of the kids. And I saw Rick Barry made the same comment today, that he was really a perfectionist. He wanted to do good service for the kids too. I have to say I was a little annoyed with him the first couple of years, and then I got to appreciate his announcing. Probably because we weren't playing too well the first couple of years. So that was one of them. And then 10 years later, or 10 years ago when I became superintendent, we had some great discussions. And one of them was about Little League. And he loved to volunteer at the Little League World Series. He received recognition, and I think the highest recognition was the 2018 Howard Hartman Little League Friendship Award, recognized as Little League International's most generous and loyal friends, one of the most generous and loyal friends. That's quite an honor and unusual for Little League to grant a lot of those. He covered over 50 years of covering all sports, football, basketball, baseball, softball, and just a presence around the community. And I know a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about him. I do not want to take the time tonight because there will be a lot of things said at certain times. But the thought that we've had people asking if there was going to be anything done for Don. I know Ashley and I talked about it also. So this was brought into consideration for future direction. And one thought was to name the announcer's booth after him in his honor. So if we want to do something for the board policy, you hear input right now, and then you direct, if you want it to be brought back for consideration, it would be brought back on the June 12th meeting.
Does anyone want to speak on it first, or?
I think it's a great idea. Let's do it.
Okay. I fully support it. And the one thing I know it also, I think, is important to recognize is that Dawn's wife, Neva, worked for the district for, I don't know how long. I remember her as a little girl going to school here. I remember always seeing her. And then I just growing up playing sports and just going to football games, that was the iconic voice that you always heard. Never saw him up there, but I always heard it. And then I remember I was like a teenager when I actually saw him for the first time. Like, I heard him speak. I'm like, oh, that's you. So really wonderful person, and it was a big loss for the community. So
Yes. I will bring it back then.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then just on that, can we just also bring the board policy back?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple typos, not anything changing, but I saw some typos on there. Moving on to discussion action item M1, consideration of acceptance of donations.
I'd like to recognize the donations of Ohio Prince Incorporated, donated to Cloverdale High School, the Kiwanis Club, who donated to Cloverdale High School, JEH, and also Jefferson, Angela Cordova, who donated to Jefferson, and those are the donations for this year. Thank you, those that donated.
And I just want to ask Jackie real quick. It's Ohio Pile, right? I've always, for some reason, I think in the past it said Ohio Pile. Did we say that wrong?
I don't remember.
Okay, I just remember you
correct.
reading it. It was? Okay, thank you.
If she doesn't remember, it's correct.
Okay, correct.
Is the spelling wrong in here?
I think the spelling's wrong, because we were talking about how would we pronounce it, but I
think
think
it's
it's
Ohio.
Ohio Pile. Thank you.
Ohio Pile.
Yeah. Okay, and so moving on, oh, sorry, we need to make a motion, right. If we can get a motion to approve donations?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve donations.
We have a motion by trustee Candelaria Orr to approve the donations. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by trustee Garrison. Preferential? Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. And now we will move on to M2, consideration and possible adoption of consideration and possible approval of resolution 223-12, adopting 2023 multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan.
I don't see Rick here tonight, so I'll grab this one. All school districts are required through the Sonoma County Office of Education to pass a hazard mitigation plan to address the disasters which we've experienced so much in the last couple of years. The main ones around here are earthquake, flooding, utility, and wildfires. So with this plan, if we don't have it in place, there's a question of whether we'll receive funding if something should happen. So with FEMA, if we have an approved plan and submit it to the county, they will submit the documents into FEMA. And if we have them in place and should a disaster occur, which we hope it doesn't, if we have this all covered, then we're in line to receive FEMA funds for recovery. And in our area, based on the, go ahead, we're queued up, so. It's over there. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Forward. So, well, I guess we'll start from the beginning. So what's a hazard mitigation plan? Projects and programs that minimize or eliminate threats associated with hazards. Basically, it's pre-planning should something happen. And why is it prepared? It's required based on the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 and requires us to have it in line for pre- and post-disaster funding. I mentioned already, it flows through the Sonoma County Office of Education. Many entities participate in this plan. Rick Scarmella, our director of M&O, was part of the conversations. And eventually it goes down to formal review, submitted to FEMA. And then we're in line for if something should happen for funding. You can see the project hazard areas there. What is identified in our area, which I'll get to in a second, is earthquake, utility-related, or pandemic, was where Cloverdale is in line, and that is based on the west area hazard map, which we're in. No, we're in the north, sorry. That would be west. We are in the north, and there's Cloverdale. So they identified those as possible based on likelihood of occurring in 100 years. Please ask if you have
I have a question.
Yes.
And this, I'm just, if we don't identify, say, a tsunami as a hazard, and say there was a tsunami, would we not be covered because we did not identify it, or would we still be covered?
I do not know that answer.
Okay.
And I asked
I
kind of asked a
In
similar
100
question.
years, we may not have a tsunami.
Because we are actually not identified as well as a wildfire threat, which I think maybe it's the heightened sense of what has happened around us in the past. So that was, we're gonna follow up on that. 'Cause-
Okay.
I will contact them. So the north, we have the south. So they split it up into 5 regions, with central Santa Rosa area. Once it's finalized through all those alphabets, then it's the 5-year plan. It's in a review status for mitigation actions, and then it's put into a 5-year update plan, and every 5 years we need to update it. Again, it's run through SCO. All districts have to respond, and if you approve this, then we need to kick it to SCO. They'll put it together, and they'll send it into FEMA for us. Any questions? All right, I would need approval.
Is there any discussion needed? This is a roll call vote, correct?
Yes. No, when you vote, I note down who's supposed
Okay.
to, we don't have to do roll call.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Addison to approve the resolution 223-12. Do I have a second?
I will second.
A second by trustee Garrison. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. And we will move on to M4, consideration and possible approval of the 23-24 declaration of need.
If we have a need to hire somebody in a position or have somebody teach a section in which they don't have the property credentialed, we have to have a declaration of need on file, which allows us to pursue emergency teaching credentials or emergency, excuse me, I just blinked out, permits. Thank you. So you'll see by doing this, and this is annual, so you've probably seen this before, but what we're projecting for next year and estimating, and it is an estimate, this can change based on your need, is having CLAD or English learner authorizations 7, estimated 7 needed, bilingual authorizations 2, and that would be in Spanish, and resource specialist 3 authorizations with declaration of need. And then under the limited assignment permits, which basically means that the person has a credential, but they're not properly credentialed to teach a section we need them to teach in. Or a class we need to teach in. Multiple subject, which is self-contained, requesting 2. Single subject, which is departmentalized, 5. Special education as 3. And so that's a total of 10. And then for single subject, art, math, science, Spanish, social science, and science/physics. We're putting the blanket over that. I'm saying if we have a need, hopefully we have that covered so they can pursue that.
Do we have any discussion or are you done?
Yeah, go ahead, I'm done.
Do we have any discussion or questions?
I'll move to approve item M4.
We have a motion by trustee Mendoza Torres. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Candelaria Orr seconds the motion. Preferential? Opposed? Or, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent.
We did listen
It's
to
good
you
to see if
because
we're awake.
nobody
Hey, good job, yeah. I
Tricky.
was writing faster than I was reading. Okay, moving on to M5, consideration and possible approval of new of Cloverdale High School courses and instructional materials.
Dr. Ronnie Goyle will speak to this.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. In front of you, you have a few courses that we are proposing to bring to Cloverdale High School. AVID has already been approved, so for you, though, you needed to approve the course syllabus, the course outline. AVID is a program that has already been developed out of San Diego. It's automatically an A through G course. You just have to copy it. It's already been approved for us. The course that I'm really excited, well, actually all the courses I'm really excited about. One of them, the financial literacy, I'm really excited about because CHS is ahead of the curve. Right now, there is legislation being proposed that financial literacy be a required course. So we are ahead of that curve, should that happen. We have 68 students that want to take financial literacy. What's wonderful about financial literacy as well is that it qualifies under UC as a third year of math, so Algebra 2. So a student who might have a little anxiety over taking Algebra 2 can take financial literacy, still meet the UC requirements, still get some of that Algebra 2, but in a more relative content that they feel they need. The checkbook, the savings, all those kinds of things. So I'm pretty excited about that one, and the fact that we have so much interest. The other one that I'm really excited about, the introduction to CTE, the wheel course. One of the things that we know, and know that from the grant that was written, is that we do not have many students completing our CTE pathways. We also know that SRJC does not have a strong pathway program as well. So the introduction to CTE means that all freshmen will take this course. They will be introduced to each of our pathways. So every 9 weeks, they'll be introduced to construction, ag, arts, media, and entertainment, and our new pathway, early childhood education. So they'll have 9 weeks in each. They'll have a stronger understanding then of what the pathway is, so that as a sophomore, they'll know right away which pathway they want. They'll understand the career and college implications as well. We're going to be partnering with SRJC, and they'll be offering Counseling 6. And Counseling 6 will align with us so that the students get more or further college and career counseling along with the CTE chosen pathway that they've decided. So those are the 3 courses. I feel, did I miss the one? I feel like I missed one. Was that it?
Yeah.
There was.
Freshman seminar?
Oh, freshman seminar. I knew I was missing one. So, as you know, when we talked about AVID before, AVID is for students who are first generation and who demonstrate potential and who would like to go to college. I would think that we would say that of every freshman, that they all demonstrate potential, that they all want to go to college, because we want them to have options. We want them to be able to say, when they graduate from high school, I have the ability to go to college, or I will choose to go a career path, and maybe colleges later, but we want them to have options. But because of the AVID structure, what we've done is we looked at the incoming 8th graders, and we said any student with really a 2.2 or above, we put in AVID. Other students, we put in freshman seminar, and freshman seminar is AVID. We're just calling it a little different because the students don't quite meet the AVID criteria. As we continue AVID, we have AVID 10, AVID 11, and AVID 12. Hopefully those students who have had freshman seminar will have the skills, the organizational skills, et cetera, see themselves as someone who has the ability and the wherewithal to go to college and be a part of AVID. But for the first year of AVID, we did need to go into AVID 9 and freshman seminar. The course has already been approved, is already an A through G course along with AVID. Our the introduction to CTE has already been approved. I was really excited. We got approval from this course within 3 days. That's how strong the program is. And then financial literacy has already been approved as well. So we've got great electives going into next year. And you might be asking, well, we're adding sections to the master schedule. That's going to cost money. Actually, what's happening is we are now at a level where we're at the contract. Most of our classes now are about 24-1, whereas right now we're under what our ratios should be. So it actually adding more electives helps us have that robust classroom of about 24 students in each class.
Thank you. I'm
excited. Yeah.
This is, I feel like it's a sense of security for us of what we've agreed or, approved in the past. These all seem like fast tracks to continuing to enroll in those classes, the AVID program, the CTE classes, and just as a freshman knowing, being able to test the waters, so to speak, and gain that interest in them. So I really appreciate the work on this, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I hope, we're not increasing sections, and I'm really excited about the opportunities for our freshmen to have a stronger transition to high school. That's really what this is about, providing them that support to have that transition to high school.
Thank you so much.
And then I just want to say thank you for all your time. This is the last time you're coming up here, so thank you for everything and good luck in your future.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to say, I wasn't going to,
not to put you on the spot, I'm sorry. I just wanted an opportunity to say thank you.
Mr. Jorgensen will tell you, this was a very, very difficult decision. This has been my home for 2 years, but my home for longer than that. My heart has been here. I have appreciated all of the support of the board. I have never felt like I have not been supported. I have felt like this community has been behind the school 100%, and that this is truly a school, a community school, and I know the next person will even create that stronger connection to the community, because that's what we're all about. So I just want to thank you all for everything you do, too.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Does anyone have discussion or questions on the high school courses?
Move to approve M5.
Second.
A motion by trustee Garrison to approve M5 and a second by trustee Addison. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one is absent.
I know we already voted, but I have a question for our student rep. Is this something that you would have been interested in as a freshman? Or maybe not all of them, but one of them? And
Yeah, I would have loved to take probably financial literacy this year, because right now we have a new teacher that came into Cloverdale named Brendan Hausman. You guys might work with him if you work at Washington. And he's teaching us all about personal finance, how to do our taxes, like something that high schoolers complain about. They never taught me how to do my taxes. So it's actually great. That sounds like an awesome idea to do. Sounds like an absolutely great course to have here.
Thank you. So we will move on to our last discussion action item, consideration and possible acceptance of the 22-23 Measure H bond audit.
I'll pinch hit for Patty Mills. We're required to do an annual audit for the Measure H to make sure we're spending the funds according to what's outlined in the bond. Christy White, public accounting, was hired to do the audit, and the magic line that they found was that there were no findings or recommendations. So everything's running as it should with the Measure H. Funds are being spent accordingly.
Thank you to our Measure H board committee for staying on all that. And everyone else that is
And if
involved
you're
in that.
interested in being part of the
Yeah.
committee. I
Committee
believe there's
oversight.
still, the committee oversight, there's still opportunities open, and for ways for you to join.
Yes.
Just,
Yep. Hard to fill districts.
Any questions or discussion on M6? With that, can I get a motion?
Move to approve?
Motion by trustee Garrison to approve M6.
Second.
Second by trustee Addison. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. Future agenda items, master planning, Alexander Valley Healthcare Student Concerns, Board Policy 5111, TK and K admissions. Anything else that needs to be added or is of interest to bring back? Okay, future board meeting dates, we have 2 in June, so June 12th, 2023, our regular board meeting at 6 PM, and another regular board meeting on June 14th, 2023 at 6 PM. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:59 PM?
Move to adjourn.
Motion by trustee Addison,
I'll second.
second by trustee Candelaria Orr. Preferential?
aye.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And no one is absent.